Yeah, hi, my name's Rob Pyne. I'm currently the local councillor for the area on Cairns Regional Council of Edmonton, Bentley Park and Mount Sheridan. I was born in Gordonvale in 1967 and grew up in Edmonton. So as a young person I was, I guess, all around Edmonton, running around the place, and looking back, Edmonton was just a small country town, a sugar town like many up and down the Queensland coast. So I guess the key landmarks in Edmonton were the Hamilton Hotel and the Grafton Hotel, and most of the people in town either worked for the CSR at the Hamilton Sugar Mill, or at the Queera Meat Works, or maybe for the Mulgrave Shire Council. By the time I was about 12, we leased the service station on the main road, which we did for about 4 years. Around that time my dad got interested in local politics, and he became the councillor for that area back then. So it was back in the 70s that my father was the local councillor for Edmonton, and that was an exciting time because Edmonton had the first swimming pool built, and then a new library, which was fantastic, and it was a pretty good time for Edmonton back then. But in the 70s, the area that we lived in called the Mulgrave Shire, the chairman or the head of the shire at the time was a gentleman named Ken Alley from Gordonvale. The Alleys were a pioneering sugar farm family, and Ken stood down and tapped my dad on the shoulder to become what you now call the mayor of the Mulgrave Shire. I reacted a bit rebelliously against my father being the local mayor, and got up to a bit of no good as a young fella. That anti-authoritarian nature also developed in my political thought, which was overwhelmingly a sense of outrage against injustice and things that I saw. Of course, growing up, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people often lived in great disadvantage, and I could see that and other injustices I saw growing up, and that informed my politics, which was a fair bit to the left. Yeah, I was about 21 years old, out on a boat. I'd met my fiancée at the time, and I was out on a boat with her and her parents, and it was on the 1st of December 1991, and it was a very hot day, and we'd sailed out of Trinity Inlet, and I dived out of the boat and head first into the water, but there was a sandbar, and I hit my head and fractured my neck at the C5 vertebrae, which left me paralysed from here down, about an inch above the nipples down. I have 50% use of my arms, so I have use of my biceps, but not my triceps, and I have sort of feeling on top of my shoulders, but not underneath. So that's the life of a C5 quadriplegic. So after I broke my neck, my wife, I told my fiancée to go away, but she wouldn't, and we got married in hospital, and she became my wife, and we moved back, originally to Bentley Park. We built a house, and then I was of course thinking, well, what can I do with my life? A lot of jobs obviously I couldn't do because of my disability, so I enrolled in a BA at James Cook University and studied history and politics, and completed a degree in history and politics with honours, and then I completed a law degree. And my first job after that was working as a regional disability officer at James Cook Uni. So I got to travel around the place, talking to kids in high schools, just breaking down those barriers and getting kids with disabilities out to JCU, so they could just attend the lectures, have lunch in the refectory, and just see that uni is a normal place. It's not intimidating, and if you do well at school, university can really open your options. And I think for kids with disabilities, you really do need every advantage in the employment marketplace, because it can be very hard for people with disabilities to get work. And when my period at JCU finished, my employment contract came to an end. I'd been there just over 7 years. The local government elections were on in 2008. So I took my long service pay from JCU and put that and spent it all on an election campaign, and was elected for Division 3 in the newly amalgamated Cairns Regional Council. That was my first job after leaving JCU, and I did that for about 5 years, and then ran for Parliament and became the member for Cairns for one term in the State Parliament. I found when I was in the State Parliament I just couldn't put my hand up for the party line, so I had to vote in favour of the people I represented, which was what I thought democracy was all about. But that meant I couldn't stay as a member of the Labor Party, so I wasn't re-elected in 2015. And so I wasn't re-elected at the end of 2017. So I had a couple of years unemployed, and then I had another council election, and I stood for council in 2020, and was elected this time to Division 2, where I grew up. It's been an interesting journey, and it's sort of circular in a way. Then I find myself back here doing this interview, feet from where I used to live when Dad leased that shop on the main street of Edmonton. One of the reasons I like the Southside and representing the Southside is not just the parts of the place that I'm so familiar with, but really it's the people. On the Southside you get a lot more people who are keeping it real, and I really like that. I think it's important not to just gloss over some of the disadvantage, and all the stats bear that out. So we've really got to be fighting for a fairer go for the south side of Cairns, and that's really, really important. The people on this side of town are my people, because you can have a yarn and there's no hidden agendas. And yeah, I like the south side. I like the people here, and I just feel at home here.